I take it Jessica's not coming.
That's the old building.
Finance committee meeting today. Can we have approval of the minutes? Motion, please.
Motion to approve the minutes?
The only question I have is about the approving the minutes of the one before that.
We did,
It
didn't
was,
we?
they said two O's.
Yeah, because
Was
that was
late?
the one you were late.
Okay.
I just didn't want to
That's fine.
put Dan was late.
No, that's fine.
That seemed technical.
So everything else looked good.
Because you weren't here to say yes.
Right.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Okay.
Just talking one way.
Pardon me?
Just talking one way.
This is good. You question Peg. That's incredible.
And welcome.
Mayor, do you have any communications other than stuff on the agenda?
No, everything I have is listed on your wonderful agenda.
Okay. There's no public here. So we're going to deal
I'll
with
never read
$650 for clerical services. I expect we're not going to see Jess. You guys know what this is all about. This is paying Jamie to
Yes.
attend planning board meetings, etc.
No, this is not Jamie at all. This
Who is the
is
clerk?
the clerk, her name is Christine.
Oh, I
And the reason
misunderstood.
for this, Dan, you're very well aware of how their meetings went over mostly because of formula. The additional, there was at least 3 different meetings, additional meetings, and you know how lengthy they were because you were there.
Well, I
You
have
were-
to say, I value having someone there to take minutes at the CPA. When Jamie does it,
Yep.
I value Barbara's minutes.
Yep.
So I can see how valuable they would be in a very important discussion like that. So I have no problems with this approval.
She is their minute taker, and she does all their minutes, and she's doing an excellent job. And it's not easy to get people to do those jobs, and she is doing.
What's your last name?
Her last name?
Ellis.
She's doing an excellent job.
What was her first name again?
Christine.
Christine Ellis.
And how is the 650 doled out? Is it by meeting?
No.
By hour?
You're talking about are you talking about the request for the 650?
Yeah, is that where we are?
Yeah,
Yes.
what it is, in the planning board, they have a line item for minute taking,
Mhm.
and they're gonna be short this amount. And the reason they're short this amount is because there was an unusual extra amount of planning board meetings.
So does she get paid by the meeting?
She gets paid by the hour.
Okay.
The only question I have is in the memo, it says 650 in one place and 600 in the other. See that second 600 was supposed to say 650?
Yes, exactly.
Where'd the memo come from?
It came with your,
It comes with
It came with it.
transfer. Here, do you want that?
you want a copy?
Okay.
Because I have a
I didn't
copy
get
here.
one.
Yeah, they're attached when you get the
I
agenda.
actually, you got it because I
They
got
come
the
with
PDF. It's a PDF. No, this, right here.
Right.
Memo.
That's what it was attached.
Yeah,
It was attached to,
they're always attached to the transfer.
but if you,
I must have it.
You
It's
do.
They tell
you
me.
have it.
It's
if it-
always the next page.
I printed it, you have it.
Yeah.
And is it under the agenda?
Mhm.
Yes.
My
Here,
bad.
but you can have mine right here, because I have an extra one. Here, because they printed mine.
From last week's full city council in the packet.
It says
Because we
packet.
moved it that day to our committee.
Oh. Got it.
Yeah, it's right, you were sunning yourself.
I was
I have no sympathy
3
for you.
margaritas to the wind.
Excuse.
All right, so, does anybody have any questions? Seems, so it is 650, regardless of the memo. The actual amount on the transfer document is correct.
And you can see, Dan, the reason that it's mentioned 650 is what she's requesting. The original was 600, and then the requested is 650. So you can see how in the memo, the 600 got confused with the
Right, yeah,
650.
yeah,
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
But the request is correct on the transfer.
And she's
that
pretty
we
sure this will
prepared.
cover us to the end of the
Yeah.
fiscal year?
Yep.
Okay, cool. I have no problems. Anybody else discussion? Take a motion, please.
Motion to transfer 650 for clerical services in the planning board as a result of the increase in planning board meetings.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded, second by Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved 3-0. Next one is a reserve fund issue for the fire department. Prior year vacation payout. Now, the one thing I wanted to ask is just a refresher in city financing. I consider this an old bill, but it's being paid out of this year's.
Well, it can't be paid out of this year's money
That's what I
because it
want.
is an old bill. That's why it had to be done as a transfer. If it was, if his vacation was this year's vacation, we could pay it out of this year's budget. But we cannot pay money out of this year's budget.
That's what I
for
was
a
trying to
last-
understand.
Exactly, and that's why we put in there the language old bill.
So an old bill is a bill that occurred in the prior fiscal year.
That's right.
And because it occurred in the prior fiscal year, the DOR won't let you pay it out of this year's budget. You have to pay it out of the reserve fund. Even though it's this year's money, it's not budgeted directly to that department
That's
so
right.
that you could do it.
That's right.
How do they do that?
So
I'm just
that-
curious.
Well, probably so that you, I mean, think of all the bills you could pay from last fiscal year, you know, obviously.
It's to
you should-
prevent deficit spending probably, right? In a sense. Because you would hold bills over and pay them in the next following year. Okay.
Well, you can hold bills over, but you have to hold them over, and they're
Not
held
out.
over in that year, and you pay them out of that amount, and then once you pay them, they, you know, they zero out. But like at the end of every fiscal year, like, for instance, this June, we'll do holdovers for a bill that you know you're going to get in, you know, the beginning of July or the middle of July for June services. So we hold that money over, and then you pay it right out of that holdover.
This isn't a holdover, this is
This is,
older.
yeah, this was unanticipated, we didn't know, you
This is
know.
unanticipated because.
Right, because we didn't know he was going
retired?
to retire.
Okay. Okay. And we pay off vacation time. Do we pay off sick time too?
They get a
Firefighters.
person of, they
Is
get.
that the union
they get-
contract?
Yeah,
They-
different contracts have different sick time,
Payoffs.
payoffs. The pay plan people do not get paid for sick time.
But they do.
Different unions do get buyback.
This
sick
is
time.
only for vacation time,
Yes.
so
Unused vacation time is what this total amount is for.
I understand that. So he didn't have unused sick time.
Right, correct.
He did have unused, but he was not.
It's not a transfer, it's not,
Correct.
it's already taken care of, it's not part of this transfer.
Because it was taken care of previously. I'm just curious. All right. Anybody else? Do you have any questions, Dan?
I don't think so.
I do recall this happening quite often when someone retires. They hold out, they actually wait for their vacations to, they don't take their vacations so they can get the cash. That's usually what happens. Mayor?
They do it in a number of ways. This just happened to be that this person wasn't able to use his vacation. So, and their vacation comes out, as you can see, January 1st.
Right.
So, like our vacations in our departments come out July. So it runs fiscally. So with this vacation, and if the chief knows that somebody is going to retire ahead of time, he will try to plan for that in his budget requests, so that the funds are in that existing year. But this is not the same existing year, which goes back to why it's an old bill.
I'm gonna ask a stupid question. So, was this 8157, in the 2014 or 2015 budget
Well,
as a line item for firefighter vacation time?
no, because your vacation would be in your personnel line, you know, you
Okay.
don't.
But it was
it's
in
like
that
It's not in
budget.
as a payout.
Oh, right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, this is when somebody retires and is not able to use their time, then there's a buyout. But normally, like in your budgeted lines would be, you know, for instance, like.
All of it.
All our employee lines have your salary in there.
You get paid
And then
vacation as part
you're-
of your salary.
Right, and then when you're out, you're still getting paid. If I use if you were to use your 2 weeks vacation, you know,
You
the
get
last
your
2 weeks,
salary.
you still get paid. But, you know, we're not paying you when you didn't get to use it.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay? Makes sense? It's necessary?
It does.
What's the reserve fund balance? You still have,
Do you want me to go check?
just if you have it off the top of your head, the balance.
I don't like to do it off the top of my head. I like to give you the exact amounts. And I'd be happy to just pull it up on the screen.
Well, my only reason for asking is we still have a half a year left.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you needed it or not.
Yeah, we're.
You have,
we're
in
good.
other words, let me ask you a
Yep.
different question. You have plenty of reserve fund, you're not worried about running out of reserve? Because we could use stabilization too if we ever had to.
Yep,
Okay, good. All right.
and we
well,
still have free cash too.
Dan, do you have any questions?
Nope.
Oh, we still have free cash?
Yeah.
Okay, take a motion to approve then. Your turn, Dan.
All right. Motion to transfer $8,157.24 from the reserve fund to the fire department for the prior year vacation payout.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
3-0. Okay, I'll set for both of these a public hearing for the following meeting. We have public hearings scheduled for the other two items on our back agenda.
So, can I just ask you, so when will these be public hearings, Dan? So what's our dates? And I wanna ask you, do you,
Today is the, what,
today is the last.
24th?
Right. So
So
the,
the public hearing will be
you'll.
On the second, we'll put it on for the 16th.
That's
when's our next council meeting?
2.
Second.
these
So
will-
it'll be the 16th.
Perfect. Now, do you
Is that right?
want,
2, 9,
Yeah.
16.
do you want Chief Mutter there?
Yes, and I was gonna
Okay.
ask you to have him there and Joe for the ones that are coming up this
Exactly.
weekend. This week.
Right, for the second.
Right, because
Okay,
they'll do a
perfect. That
better
was good.
job.
You know I was
They'll do a
gonna
better
ask-
job than me.
You know I was
trying to
gonna ask you
explain
that
it.
next.
All right. Well, I can email them too. I wanted to tell the committee that the review of stipends is awaiting information. Just so you know, we do this every 2 years. And the last time, we considered everybody, but we decided not to. Those boards and committees, I think the assessors get a small amount of money, people get a small amount of stipend. They didn't want any more money. We felt it was time, last time, for the mayor's position to be raised. And anything we do has to be done before January 1st of the second year of the term. And it doesn't go into effect until the following term, so nobody in office automatically gets it. You have to win an election to get it. So I'm waiting on information that Barb usually gets together for us on local cities and towns, what their counselors are paid, what their boards and committees are paid, et cetera. And we make that comparison and we ask again, does anybody feel these are fair or unfair, should we get an increase? And that includes elected officials, the mayor, the city council, and the school board.
Those are the ones we're gonna review.
We review everything, even the little stipends. Do we want to bump up the assessor's little stipend? Does the planning board get a stipend?
No.
No.
I don't remember. I had wanted to add one to them, but they didn't want it, so.
Okay. Board of Public Works.
Board of Public Works does?
School committee, well, they're elected.
Yeah, they're elected, but
Board of Public Works, assessors,
Who else?
The
gets-
cemetery, something.
yeah, the Main
Cemetery
Street,
clerk.
yeah, Main Street Cemetery clerk, and then now retirement club.
Well, that's not under our
No.
jurisdiction.
No. Well,
It isn't
yeah,
anymore.
thankfully.
Okay, so we'll deal with that when I get the information. We have plenty of time, okay?
Sounds good.
Is there any more questions? These two items are up on continuing business for public hearing. I'm satisfied with them. You guys are
They're
satisfied with
I don't
those?
have any questions.
Now, we got a request to create, as we talked about the last time, we separated out the Hayden Animal Trust Fund, and we decided to create the donation account, which will keep the kennel donation money in there specifically for dogs, and I think that's the best way to go personally. So this is just a formality, that's why it's sent to committee. We talked about it the last time, I don't have any problem, I think this is the best way to go, it's a great idea by Melissa, so.
Yep.
Then we approve this, we still need to get some new language to update the animal trust fund.
Right, I want to keep these as two separate issues. I
Right.
think that's probably the best way to go.
You're not prepared to give us that as the final document, are you?
The Hayden Trust Fund itself?
No, but I thought there was new language, you wanted to get the updated, get selectmen out of there and things
We're
like that.
just looking at, updating some language, and I definitely wanted to mention it to Dr. Hayden anyway, but I think that all we're basically gonna do is, and you've had it as a draft to look at. I don't think anybody has any problems with it, other than just updating it a little bit to, which we already had. We took off number 9, published in the annual report, because we don't do an annual report anymore. And we already changed, Board of Selectmen language and city,
Okay, so-
town meeting language. So this pretty much is, we didn't do anything to it other than,
So if you want to
update
provide us with the
language.
updated document, for the next meeting. I'd love to get this off of our plate. so.
Me too.
So if you give us the document, we'll
Yeah.
move it. That
And
doesn't need
again,
a
you know,
public hearing or anything.
We probably normally wouldn't even have touched it, just left it as it is, but
Because we
now
were
it
trying.
became into view, we might as well clean it up too.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to approve the amended donation account
Motion to approve the amended donation account.
for the kennel,
For
the kennel donation.
the kennel donation account. Donation account 2843.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's done. And that'll just be brought out of committee, it doesn't need a public hearing. Finance Subcommittee language. Now, did you see these guys that I gave you, that I put up? This is a quickie on my part, a draft. One of the things I want to ask you two is, this came out of probably your orientation meeting, which people say, what do committees do?
Right.
So what I'm asking you is, does this help you? Is it, what do you think about, did you get that? I sent you it, didn't I? I mean, it's pretty basic what we do, but I think I touched on everything we might do. And the purpose of this is so that if someone is asked to be on a committee, or if somebody in the public wants to know, what's the committee do?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Evaluation of capital purchases are things like the
A
snow
fire
emergency,
truck.
the snow emergency purchase orders. Is
Those
that
aren't
called-
capital purchases. Capital purchase is a piece of equipment.
That's why I'm asking. Should we add a bullet for purchase orders?
For what?
Did
Purchase
I
orders?
not
You
put
don't
that
have
in
anything to do
there?
with purchase order.
Maybe I'm using the wrong term.
Emergency,
Snow removal.
snow
snow
emergency.
emergency?
I think we should add a bullet for snow emergency.
I didn't know that as part of the governor's municipal,
Reform Act?
whatever it is that he's doing, removes that.
Removes the possibility for snow emergencies?
Removes your needing to sign them.
Really? There's no oversight anymore? Not that we look at them.
I believe it's more like you vote into snow emergency, that the full council does, but that the process of paying the bills stays as the administrative, to the town manager, the city mayor. I think that's what it was in the thing. I mean, it is true now, but I know it's
Right.
one of the changes being proposed. It may not
Right.
pass that way.
And the only change would be you wouldn't have to come in on the weekly basis and sign that emergency folder with
Well,
the invoices.
what
We
it-
could just make it snow emergency funding and approval.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna write down.
And then-
Well, and if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I think the reason it's there is because it's actually a supplemental appropriation, because you're not budgeted for it, so we have to take the money.
Well, an approved declaration of.
It allows you to
approved
deficit.
Declaration of snow emergency. You still have to declare it.
What did you say?
You still have to declare it, approved.
Snow emergency declaration approval?
I'll just write snow emergency, I'll write something in there.
Right.
You can send me it.
Okay,
But if it's taken off of our plate, it's taken off our plate.
You going, you're gonna,
My next question.
Thanks, you, Jane.
My next question is in the last sentence. The chair will also request information from the mayor and or department heads. Can only you request information? Can Dan and I request information?
Well, I was acting for the committee, but that doesn't mean you can't ask.
So it could be the chair or any member of the committee.
Okay.
You better just write the committee.
That's a good one, the committee.
And just grammatically, like in that first sentence, refer to the city council as the city council, the full council, and the council. So that should probably be.
Read what you want.
City council.
The council finance committee,
Evaluate and recommend to the full city council action.
the full city.
Given to the council.
Matters that are given to the council,
Which council?
the city council.
So the city council I wanted to say I didn't want to just say the finance committee, because I wanted to kind of make sure that everybody knew it was the city council's finance committee,
Mhm.
because the school board has a finance committee.
Okay.
Although these are the rules of the finance, these are the rules of the council, so maybe it's obvious, maybe that's true. We're putting these under the rules, so.
So I would even just maybe add at the end to the full council.
Wait, that last word of council, right there. Which council are you referring to?
Oh, okay, to the full council. You're right, I see it. Okay.
And then the number 2 in the last bullet point should be spelled out, the word 2.
That's why we have lawyers.
Oh my God, it's gonna be a long year, Peg.
I know.
And then my only other question was, as far as the bullet points read,
Look, I could tell you something, Dan. You're gonna write these from now.
This is what happens.
This is what happens when you question.
No, it's okay. I think he's very good, but when you get good at something, you get to do it.
the first one was just so specific. I don't know if we need that much language about what we can and can't do, or whether it should be shorter like the rest.
I was thinking about you guys. I was thinking about trying to let anybody who reads this, a citizen or a new council member, know how it proceeds. Maybe we don't need to say it's the last meeting in May and so.
It just struck me that one was so much more specific than the other ones. Like if we're going to add that much detail, then maybe we should also add what happens
No, you're
every
right.
time a supplemental
I
appropriation.
think after the word revenue, we can strike the rest of the language. Because we're evaluating.
Yeah, we're going to evaluate, should recommend.
Can
Exactly
any
when
shall
and how we
recommend
do that.
budget action to council no later than the last meeting of May? No, you know what, I'm rethinking this. This is a rule of the council. And one of the things that concerns me is delaying action. The reason that you see at the back of here, where it says the date that the thing was referred to committee was because a prior counselor used to put things in committee and not take action as a way of saying I disagree with this.
Yeah.
And we put it in there so that no committee could just do that without explaining themselves. So the reason for this is a rule that says, guys, we have to have this done by July 1, or we can't, the government stops.
Mhm.
What happens if we don't approve the budget by July 1, Melissa? Nobody gets paid? What happens? I'm
If there's
just
no
curious.
approval as of July 1.
If we don't approve
For the
approve the
budget.
budget by July 1?
I asked that question
Yeah.
of the.
DOR one year, didn't you?
And they said,
Sequestration.
you don't want to ask us
You don't wanna know.
that question, please come back with a better answer.
You don't want to ask us this question?
I don't
Because
think it's,
because, you know, we have to.
because basically we have failed if we don't do that. That's
I
like
think
a
I need to
basic
keep it there,
tenet.
Dan.
Yeah.
Because the most important job we do is approve the
We'd
budget.
love to employ you.
that's fine.
And I am worried, I don't want any future
Okay.
counselor to think, oh, well, we don't have to rush this. This is the budget. We need to really study it.
Well, hopefully they read the rules and everything else and they know what they're
Well,
doing.
the charter.
If they just read this.
I'm
and
sure
that's
the
all
mayor
they
will say,
work
no,
on.
you've got to approve this or nobody gets paid and we have to shut the budget down. and you have
That would be
to answer.
one big public meeting with all the employees there.
That'd be a problem.
We-
No,
we
so
will
I think I put that in there for that reason.
That's fine.
I don't disagree. I thought we wanted like a short overview, but. that's-
Well, the rest of it is short, but that's the most important item the city council finance committee does. Because all these supplemental appropriations we passed, they're appropriations that, because the budget is an appropriation, so they're supplemental to the budget.
The only other thing I had was in these items include,
Or
just these items.
maybe, and that suggests there's more items.
I was gonna say, these items include, but are not limited to, amendable.
Yes, because then someone could say, actually,
That's
very
all we're
good.
doing.
But
Six
are
items.
not, well, that would make the meetings shorter,
Well,
but it's probably everything now. Okay, good, I added it.
And do we need to put the size of the committee, or is that designated somewhere else in the rules?
It's,
'Cause I think I read it somewhere else.
It's in the rules.
Okay, then we're good. That's all I had.
And it says there shall be 3 members of a subcommittee and that the president shall be a member of all committees.
Yep, I remember reading. Okay. I'm good.
I should know these, I wrote them.
Yeah, right.
Well, I stole them from Agawam, and we just redid them.
Subcommittee was my only other question.
It's really not a subcommittee. It's
I
a
didn't
committee.
think so.
Where does it say subcommittee? Did I put
You
that
just
in?
said it
No.
verbally, so I just
No.
wanna make sure.
It's not, it's a committee.
Right.
If we had a subcommittee, it would be you and Peg are the subcommittee of this committee, something. That's what, yeah, Barbara keeps doing that, and
I'm just
I'm
saying.
not gonna chastise the clerk for that.
I'm just saying.
She says subcommittee.
Are
When
we?
we're really not a subcommittee of the council, unless you consider the council a full committee. Maybe you do, I don't know.
We all say that.
I know.
Finance subcommittee, finance subcommittee, yeah.
Ordinance.
Technically, and I've always said this, we're a committee of the council. The council is the council considered a committee, therefore we're a subcommittee.
Yeah.
I think this is
that's
semantics
interesting.
we don't have to
It's
worry
Yeah,
about.
I hear it both ways.
Yeah, yeah, we've always referred to all of the committees as subcommittees.
So what I'm gonna do is rewrite these. Have you guys send back to me anything that I forgot.
All right.
And then I'm just gonna submit them to the rules committee, which is me.
So,
On too many committees.
is this how? they're
Can I
looking-
resign from the council right now?
Ooh, you probably can.
Pretty quick.
Hope you don't. From the rules committee perspective, is this how they, is this in line with what the rest of them look like, the ones that already
If you
exist?
looked at the role of the, when we decided to change the rules committee to the rules and government relations committee, we rolled out what that role was.
Mhm.
And I tried to emulate that and trying to get bullet points of what we did.
Right.
But that is well detailed. It's the only committee in the rules that's well detailed. So I think that's where everybody was coming from. Your orientation, I think, somebody must have asked, how come this, what do committees do?
Pretty much, yeah.
Now you know. I know what we do.
I know what this one does.
Okay. If that's okay, I don't think we need a vote on it. We're just gonna submit it to them.
Yeah, you'll send it around once more before.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Our next meeting, we getting anything? We're probably getting more stuff, right? At the night, you know, if we're getting more supplementals or transfers?
I don't think I got anything. That would be tomorrow. It's my deadline.
Well, no, you could actually, we've gotten stuff at the last minute.
Yeah, right. I hate doing that to you. That does happen, especially toward the end of the year. But, I'm trying to put in any transfers, requests, putting forward.
Where's the agenda? The only thing we need is the language from the kennel account, but I can wait on that. I'm not
Well-
gonna have a meeting if we don't have any financial stuff.
Right. And you have this draft, so if you have a minute and there's anything that kind of, you know, pops out at you, just give me a
Can
call.
you email it back to me?
Of
Because
course.
I could, that would be
Yeah.
the best way to do it for
Yep.
all of us.
Okay.
And then in a
And then if
future meeting.
anything, any language, you know, because I'm not going through changing everything. As a matter of fact, our city attorney did this.
Well, that's just
So-
it. If it's ready to go, it's ready to
Yeah,
go.
so-
You said you wanted to strike 9, so send us the one that you said you wanted to
Yeah.
give us.
I'm just the end of it, because it does
Fine.
get an annual.
They're subject to an annual, yeah.
Right, but it doesn't
After
get
that,
published in the
doesn't.
annual report.
I'm gonna wait
Okay.
to deal with that and the stipends for the meeting after next. Because if, we're not gonna have a meeting when we might not have all the stipend information. I don't need to have a meeting just for the animal trust thing. So let's do a meeting. If we get something, a financial matter, then we'll deal with it. Okay? So I can't be sure if we're gonna have another meeting, we'll find out.
Okay.
It's posted, because they're always posted,
Right.
but I'll tell her to cancel it. Okay?
Okay.
Sounds good.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much for taking care of all these.